Hi everyone, so this is day 12 lecture, Work and Economy. This is class of the sociology, which is 100 level. So I will not cover very details about the works and economy because it's not economics class, but I will cover what are some economies and works in the US and what are the explanations and what are the social problems related with the current US economic system. Work and economic system. Economy is the social institution, so it calls every social institution organizes the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. Therefore, we are all related with the economy. Even though we are not working, we pay for goods, and our payments goes into the corporation, and then they can hire the other people and then produce again. So we are all related with the economy. In the theory, there are three sector model, which is a traditional model. There are three major sectors as primary, secondary, tertiary. We call it, I think you learned it from the many high school classes, as they are primarily deals with the raw materials directly from the nature, such as agricultural works and mine works and other things. Next one is the secondary sector, transfer the raw materials into finished products, such as the manufacturing jobs and other things. The third sector is tertiary sector, provides the services rather than products. So these are the information technology and other skilled workers and clerical workers, other services, including the professional services from the physicians and lawyers. There are additional sectors, but they are commonly related with the other previous sectors. Quaternary sector is the knowledge-based works, usually the information technology works. Quinary sector is non-profit works and the domestic activities. So if we work in the home-based works and without some investments for the profits or purposes of the profit, these are related with the quinary sector. But these are not very unique or close sectors compared with those three sectors I mentioned before. So there are three types of majorly two types, but there are more types of the economic systems. So first economic system is capitalism. Most of the many Western countries and the United States are in the capitalism economic system. In this system, a means of production, skills or knowledge, lands and tools, technology are privately owned, usually by the corporations. Main goal in the capitalism is pursuing personal profit or the corporation's profit. So in this theory, we need to maximize our personal profits or corporation profits. Individuals compete each other. So in this theory and in this economic system, competition toward everyone is the norm and the philosophical theme, because we want to work together for the greatest profit. Competition can control, no single party can control the entire market, also called the free enterprise system and the free market. In this US economy and many other countries, the competition can control, but competition cannot control whole the economy because the government cannot control the competition, and usually sometimes there is some role prevents them the controlling the entire market. But still, the huge corporations usually control majorly about the entire market. So this is also the problem of the economy in the US and other many countries. So in this type of the economic system, generally prefer low level of the government intervention. So that's why even though the government law, the free trade law usually can control some certain type of the entire control of the market, but usually it's not perfectly controllable. So in the opposite, there is a socialism. Many communist countries did the socialism as the primary philosophy for their economic system. So means of production are collectively owned, usually by the government or the communities they have. The main goal is the collective good or the need to fulfilling the needs of society. So individuals do not compete for profit, but work together. In theory, Government controls the economy, so the main government and the main elites in the government usually prepares and makes the plans, and then each communities, I mean each states and each counties, local counties should follow the strategies or plans from the main government. So this is ideally they want to make the truly classless society called communist society, but the history says that the socialism cannot fulfill this goal because many socialist countries had some like economic fails, and then they usually had some high economic inequality level. So this is just like an ideal type of the socialism as the economic system, but still there are many countries who follow this order. So there are main differences between the capitalism and socialism, but in terms of the economic growth and productivity, capitalism have many positive points compared with the socialism, because the socialism do not have some like competition among the individuals, and they do not make some like a personal growths and personal profits. So in socialism, we have some like incentives, or we have some motivations to have better profits, and sometimes we have the greater political freedom. So these are the better environment for the incentives or innovative ways to maximize the profit. However, we have much more economic inequality in the capitalism compared with the socialism. So in the competition, we have many drawbacks as well, because the value learned from the institution may reflect the needs of society than those of the individuals. So many competition makes a harsh condition. So the winner takes it. We say the winner takes it all. So there are many losers if we cannot be the winner of the competition. And then capitalism can be more selfish and very greedy sometimes. So many corporations, usually the large corporations, want to control the entire economy on the entire market, because after then, without the competition, they can raise the prices without some controls or without any kind of preventions. So that's why we have the like free trade and the rules control the entire economy can be occupied by the one corporation or one private. So this is like combination form as the democratic socialism, as combining socialism and the capitalism as many Nordic countries such as Denmark or Sweden, other countries like that. So the government owns the several important industries such as airlines or trails or other transportation like that. So owns many important industries, but most property remains in the private hands. So this is type of the combination between the socialism and the capitalism. Government has extensively strong programs for the needs for the poor or unemployed people. They raise this money by collecting the higher rate of the tax, such as 50% from the income or 60% per income, but they can earn this money to be spent for the individuals who are in need. So this is very diverse. So partially this is very beneficial for the lowly educated or lower class members, and especially for the discriminated members like that. However, it may have some like lower incentives for the individuals to have higher income, because even though they can get more by the degrees or by their efforts, the more they can be collected from the tax or tax treaties or tax institutions. So they have some like a lower motivation and like sometimes have lower life satisfaction level, lead to the higher suicide level in those Nordic countries, combined with their environmental issues. The U.S. economy is surely the leading leading the leading nation in the capitalism nations. However, there are some increased inequality in the U.S. economy as well. Anyway, we have the increased women's labor participation level, even though they have the very young children. So these are some economy, but this is not a limited page where we can cover everything. But we are just covering the major traits of the U.S. economy. Maybe you are already familiar with the sociological theories such as functionalism, conflict theory, and the social symbol internationalism. You may already imagine how they will interpret or explain about the economic system. The functionalism is majorly emphasis on the positive points of the economic system or works. Generally, they are very positive perspectives for the competition and other settings of the economy. So they say that economy provides the goods and products that society needs, so it makes the society possible. People work for the money, and then they need to survive, and then they can earn the income needs for their survival. Economy provides the income for the most people who are in the needs. Work provides various non-material benefits like their social identity and related benefits and social network or friendship. So by supporting this function, about 70% of the people wanted to work even if they have enough money without working. Even if they have some enough money for survival or for their entire life, they want to work because that fulfills their self-confidence or self-esteem. So conflict theory is rooted from the Karl Marx theories usually. He criticized the capitalism because the capitalism oppresses the workers from the for the larger benefits or profits for the ruling class. Usually we call the bourgeoisie, who are the owner of the products of the means of the production, such as the owner of the factory or owner of the corporations or other the workplaces. In more creative versions, they criticize the huge companies by the maltreatment for the workers, and including sexual harassment by their position on the power and the high inequality level in the capitalist countries. So alienation is the term they insist. So this is a term because in like a middle age countries like that, usually the hand production was the major type of the works. They could enjoy the process of the production. For example, in that period of time when they need to make the chair, they had to work for the trees or lumbers. They had to work like the lumberjack to have the trees, and then combine the trees, and then finally they could make the chair. So during the process, they can have some like a satisfaction while working as the even though they work for the profit or they work for the purpose for the income, they could enjoy the process, and they could combine the process of the work and the result from the product. However, in this type of the capitalism or the mass production, they had to be just the one part of the factory or the work of the process. In terms of the chair production factories like that, they are just working for the just designing or just clicking the buttons or to push the buttons. So they are just part of the minimal part of the work. So they could be this type of the process could be very boring and just repetitive tasks. So we call that as the alienation from the work process or the production. So this is the theoretical explanation by the Karl Marx about centuries ago, but American workers have the higher satisfaction level compared with the expectation from the Karl Marx, because about 90% of workers said that they are satisfied with their jobs. So We can explain that because of the friendships or other social identities they have, but maybe it would be some kind of adulting process that even though they are not satisfied with their workplaces, they may need to adapt to their stress by the coping with saying that they are they are satisfied with their jobs. So we cannot 100% trust this result, but anyway, it's much higher than the expectation from the conflict theory. Symbol interactionism majorly emphasize on the daily interaction or the normal interaction between or among the workers during the work time or in the workplace. So major theory or the classical theory interprets and explains about the situation of the OB-GYN and the patient. So OB-GYNs were usually the males in some decades ago. Still, we have like a higher rate of the high rate of the OB-GYNs compared with the female OB-GYNs. But still, the patients, they're like the expected mothers need to meet the male doctors. So usually they need to touch or treat their very private section of vaginas or genitals. They have to make the comfortable place, such as defining the situation is just very merely a medical situation, not sexual situation. So they have like a very dry manner, just explaining the medical symptoms and medical words like professional words, and suggest then like avoid anything might suggest they are aroused sexually, and then other strategies that patient can see the situation is just the medical condition and medical situation, not the sexual condition, so that they can make their they can lead their patients as comfortable situation, not sexually harassing situation. And there are also other studies that help us deal with their fear when they confront the suspects, like behaving as more authoritarian attitudes or using the very strong words and having some like stances like that. So symbol interactionism majorly explains about the micro settings of the work and economic system. So there are many issues related with this, the economy and the works in the U.S. So losing wages and jobs, because the economic system is not just limited in that nation domestically, but these are related with the very internationally. So usually serious about the economy in the recession involves a huge number of workers lose their jobs and wages. So we can see the examples of the Great Recession in the 1960s and also the Great Recession in the 2007-2009. In the world recession. And in terms of the recession time, it involves usually the large number of the job losses and losing their wages as the pay cuts. And there are some new technologies that may replace the low-skilled workers. For example, if we have more automated cashier system, they can replace many cashiers because the number of the many, if we can have some like many machines in the, like for example in the Target or Giant, if they can install so many number of the automated cashier system, they just need to have some like a small number of the monitor steps instead of the like 10 or 20 cashiers they have. So the improved technology may be very beneficial for the society, but it can also involve with the greater burden for the low-class members, usually low-skilled and low credentials. There is also one situation as outsourcing. So many U.S. companies hire workers overseas for the very simple jobs such as callers or any other systems. So they result in the losses of the jobs who had worked in that field. So if they hire many call center staffs from the India or other English-speaking countries instead of the citizens of the U.S., they can lose their jobs had to be assigned before. And then there's also the high inequality level of the between the CEOs, the highest level of the income, and the lowest or the typical persons in the US. So CEOs are more likely to earn about 185 times higher income than typical workers averagely. And decline the labor unions. So even though labor unions have also benefits and negative points, they work for the quality or the condition of the working for the employees or most of the employees. So because of the movements of the labor unions, the minimum wages and other benefits were increased. However, in recent days, only about 7% of private sector non-agricultural workers are in the labor unions. So the average worker today is less likely to have benefits previously union variance. So in terms of the union as the union premiums, the union members could earn more compared with the non-union members, but as we have the lower level of the labor union participants, it's saying that we are losing the union premiums, especially for the low class workers or even the high class workers. So unemployment is kind of a natural situation for the life because we cannot guarantee that we are employed in the whole lifetime period. So most of us, we need to expect some time of the unemployment, in especially at least some portion of the time. But most unemployed workers are involuntarily laid off or fired. Sometimes we want to find some better job, or we want to study for the better jobs and unemployed for their purposes, but usually these are like involuntarily did or deserted. So regardless of the economic condition, people of color, usually African Americans and the Hispanics, are more likely to be unemployed compared with the whites. So there is one more term saying the underemployment. So unemployment is just measure about the people who are not employed currently, but underemployed marginally includes the people who are in the part-time job place, but they wanna be the full-time workers. So they are marginally unemployed. And then this measure also includes the people have stopped looking for working because they cannot find the work. So even though they want to find the work, they could not find the work. So they are included in the underemployed one. So in this measure, this is possibly a better measure to analyze the problems of the unemployed ones, because these are marginally and theoretically very close to the unemployed ones. And these are, the unemployment problem is not only the personal problem, but also the public issue, because the very increased level of the unemployment is related with the many social issues, such as the increased crimes and increased domestic violence and other things. So the unemployment has like huge negative psychological and relational impacts, such as increased quarrels or increased domestic violence in the families, and then increase the level of the mental health problems. So maybe reducing the unemployment level would be very beneficial for the people, most of the people in the U.S. The corporations. Corporations are the major the format or social institution in the capitalism economy, but there are a few huge corporations control the whole nation's economy. So only a few these are only a few number, but they even can control the whole economy theoretically. There is some reduced competition, and then reduced competition may result in the raise the prices to the public. So in terms of the controlling level of the market, so Amazon is concerned by the many scholars because so Amazon is a number one online market corporation, but even though we add whole the size of the number 2 through number 10 corporations in the online market, and they are smaller than the Amazon. So they are about ruling the whole the market of the online market. So if they just merges all the economy or whole the market system, and then we might not be able to enjoy the current price of the Amazon market in the delivery or the other prices. So that's why the competition has some incentives or the benefits by controlling the market, who is not entirely controlled by only one corporation. And there are the huge multinational corporations, and they are criticized that they mistreat the workers, especially like the workers or in the China by the Apple like that, and exploit these nation's natural resources. But however, multinational corporations are broadly very beneficial for those nations, because they can possibly provide more jobs in the nation, and then they can provide the chances to develop their economy by the better technology and the better working systems. So there are the various harmful white-collar crimes, as we covered in the criminal justice chapter. And economic inequality is the very big issue in the US as well. So we have like increasing the concern about the inequality level, says 1% between versus the 99%. So how much the rich people are richer, and getting the poor people are getting poorer compared with the previous decades. So in 2010, the poorest quartile has only 3.3% of the whole nation's income, but the highest quartile has like a 50% of the income, or more than 50% income. So it means that richest quartile have as much as the income of the whole 80% of the remaining. So the U.S. has the highest level of economic inequality compared with any other nations in the world. Then why economic inequality matter? This is kind of a big problem as a matter of fairness in the philosophy. So in terms of the law or the philosophy of the U.S., so every individual is created equal, and everyone should have the equal opportunities to fulfill their the American dream, at least economically successful, to fulfill the American dream. But high level in the inequality is related with the poor bottom line of the people, and then shrinking the middle class, lower economic mobility, and slowing the economic growth and unhealthy societies with the lower level of the social cohesion, increase the polarization like that. So these are some social problems related to economic inequality. So even though we work very hard or study very hard to earn more income, we cannot earn as much money as the highest family members, because they already have the high income from the dividends or other real estate like that. So it decreases our motivation level sometimes. So there are many negative impacts of the economic inequality. The tax policy is also contributing the economic problems and inequality, because there were steep cuts in the high tax rates from the income of the dividends and the capital gains. So these are the major parts of the benefits or profits of the wealthier families. So especially in this period of time, with the higher tax cuts for the wealthier family. So wealthier family can earn more and more, because they can earn huge amount of profit compared with the income from the middle class families and the lower income families. So relative to the national wealth, the U.S. has the lowest taxes industrial democracy in the world. So Paul Krugman, who was the Nobel Prize economist, said that is there the good reason why the rich should bear a slightly light tax burden? This is not a this is indefensible theory. So there is no reason that why the wealthier people should have the lower level of the burden for the tax, because a lower level of tax means like a losses of the possible taxes, and then the lower level of the budget of the U.S. economy. So that may mean some losing like tax invasions, especially for the professionals or the wealthier families. And there are also the workplace crimes. So as we covered in the criminal justice one, there are like employee theft, like such as stealing the goods and stealing the money in the many times of the formats. So the professional workers also steal the goods and resources, but these are like violence crimes as well as the workplace violences as sexual harassment or rape or other type of the workplace violences. So there are many ways to improve the economy and the work. So this is also very controversial because maybe economists may not agree with these ways, but the sociologists usually think that more active role of the government in improving national infrastructure and more generous unemployment benefits or the ways to spend more money for the lower class or the unemployed or the bottom line of the people are suggested and recommended. So helping the unemployed and underemployed would be very beneficial for the whole economic system and the society, we think, as the sociologists say usually. So yeah, so as we always do, make sure to submit your assignment on time and let me know if you have any questions. And I also plan to have the poll to make a decision about the course schedule because originally we had like 16 chapters of the textbook and 2 more additional days as one as the review of the materials to help you to prepare the exam, and one other one is the additional chapter as the demographic changes in the population in the US. But originally I had the plan that having some like one free day for the preparation of the exam, but the department expressed some concern that having one blank day would means like 3 days of the off in the fall semester or the fall or the spring semester in the academic semester. So yeah, I'm thinking about that. Just keeping the current syllabus or having 1 day for the preparation for the exam without assignments. So I will make the poll to see how many people in the class would agree about the change or just maintain the current schedule, because yeah, because I know you already paid about some certain amount of money, so I don't want to lose your opportunity to learn more. So yeah, it's totally up to you to make the decision. So I'm on both. Yeah, I support the both decisions. So let me know what you think about that. Okay, thank you for your time, and see you tomorrow in the next lecture. Thank you.